I just did.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Alburnett Council meeting for Thursday, July 9th, 2020 at 7 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started. We're going to waive the Pledge of Allegiance since we're doing this via Zoom. I was hoping to get back to some level of normalcy and have our standard council meeting with us all together, but given the current situation that Linn County Health has reported, we've decided to do another meeting via Zoom. We'll again review this on a monthly basis, and we'll attempt to go ahead and get back into council chambers with everybody in the August meeting if possible. Again, we review that on a monthly basis. We'll go ahead and establish roll call for a quorum. We'll have the clerk do that, please.
Councillor Saracen?
Present.
Councillor Trump?
Present.
Councillor Bosenberg?
Present.
Councillor Shantz?
Let the record reflect that we do have enough members present for a quorum with Councilman Minson absent this evening. All right, we'll go ahead and ask for approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda as submitted, clerk?
No changes.
No changes to the agenda. We'll ask for approval of the agenda then.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Moved by Bosenberg, and I believe that second was by Saracen.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The motion carries, so it's approved as submitted. We're going to go ahead and we won't have a deputy present for the sheriff's report, but the report is in your packet. I'm sure you've had an opportunity to go ahead and look that over. Other than a lot of traffic stops, it looks like it's been a relatively quiet month for us. And looking at the disposition, it doesn't look like too many people. It didn't look like there were too many citations issued anyway, so we do appreciate Linn County keeping us safe. Any questions on the sheriff's report as submitted?
Can you repeat the hours for the record?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
We contract for 43 hours, and in May they had 93.30 hours.
Thank you.
Questions or comments on the sheriff's report? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 6, the mayor's report. Just a few items for me this evening. I do want to say thank you for the 4th of July. We had our flags out this year. I think they look very nice within the city. I want to thank Guy and the full-time staff for getting those provided and getting them up. Again, I think they look very nice. I appreciate Danielle getting the Zoom set up, not only for our council meetings, but also the additional meetings. And like I say, we'll keep everybody updated on those. I do have in July and December of each year, we do the reviews for the full-time staff. I have those completed. Any council person that wants to review those, they'll be sent to Mayor Pro Tem as well. But anyone that wants to review those is welcome to do so. They'll be completed for this month. And I think that is all my comments. We'll do the fire station as its own item when we get to the bottom. So then we'll move on to council reports. We'll go ahead and start with Bethany.
Nothing for me, thank you.
All right, Councilman Trump.
I'd like to thank the fire department for coming out and being part of the having a parade in front of the house for Pauline Order's 100th anniversary. That was greatly appreciated.
Okay, very good. Councilman Bosenberg.
Yeah, I have nothing.
All right, Councilman Trump. Any comments from you, Chester? Okay, very good. And I did speak with Councilman Minson prior to the meeting. His comments, nothing under reports, but I have some comments from him on agenda items. So having the reports completed, we'll move on to item number 8, which is citizen comments. We have 2 types of comments here in the city of Alburnett, but one for agenda items and one for non-agenda items. We'll do the first one for agenda items. If you wish to make any comments about an agenda item, this is the time to do so. You'd state your name and address clearly for the record, and you'll have up to 5 minutes to make comments on agenda items to the mayor and council. Is there anyone that would like to make comments on agenda items right now?
Can you hear me? Is this my cue?
Yes, if you have comments on agenda items, now would be the time to do so. I'd say just state your name and address clearly for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to make any comments you wish.
Jolene, you're on the agenda for a separate time.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
No, that's
Never
okay.
done this before.
That's okay.
Yeah, you'll have your own separate time for the item that's on the agenda, but if you have a comment about a different item, now would be the time to do so.
Okay. Okay,
No,
no,
you-
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
And then we also have non-agenda items, and this is where anyone that would like to make a comment on a non-agenda item, you may also do so. Again, you'd state your name and address clearly for the record. You'd have 5 minutes to make comments. Hearing none of those, and we'll move past citizen comments to item number 9, which is written reports. We'll start out with the Fire Department Chief Graham. We've had an opportunity to review your report. I see there were several calls in the township, including an accident that you all responded to. We appreciate your work that you do both within the city and out in the township. Other than the items on your written report, do you have any comments for us?
My only question is the new hydrant, and it's probably for Guy at this down here at the station. Is that gonna be raised up at all? We can't get a hydrant wrench to open the caps.
I got the extension yesterday.
Okay, that's all I got.
Council, thank you, Chief. Council, any questions for the chief in reference to his report or any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Public Works report. Guy, we've had an opportunity to review it within the packet. Do you have any further comments on your Public Works report?
No, not really. Everything's going a lot of small.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted, Guy.
Not using more free.
Your mic's not
Oh.
working.
Oh, he's right. You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
About that.
Yep.
There you go.
Good.
Okay. You had to learn how to run this silly headset. Everything's going well. We're getting a lot of small projects done little by little. Report pretty much says everything. So nothing else besides what's on the report.
Very good, thank you. And then finally, we'll move on to the clerk's report. Again, it's in your packet. We've had an opportunity to review that. It looks like you've been busy with abatements and sending out some other information within the city. Do you have anything else you'd like to comment or report on?
Just thank you to everyone for their patience during this time. Thank you to Councilmember Sarazin for working on the ordinances in our codification process. She's done some review outside time on that, put in some hours, so thank you.
Very good. Any questions or comments for Guy or Danielle?
Just have one, and I don't know if it's something that you guys have been looking into. With everything shut down, I noticed we haven't had a lot of training requests. Obviously, there's not been conferences and things like that. Are you guys keeping abreast on requirements or any changes as far as your continuing credits that you need for your certifications and such?
I just signed up today for a fall conference in Okoboji. They're going to run it in a 2-day class instead of a 4-day class instead of a 3-day class, so they can keep people apart, etc. It just came out that they were going to have it, so we jumped on it and got registered for it right away on my end. So
I have a street financial report training that's coming up in Monticello, I believe, in August that I'm going to go to. I'm sure they'll be following social distancing practices. And then I have the annual, it's the Municipal Leadership Academy that would normally be held in Ames for the clerk certificate program. That is being held virtually, and I have signed up for that. That will be coming up here in about 2 weeks. So I will be here doing that as well. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for full-time staff? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to number 10, which is approval of the consent agenda. You have a copy of it within your report. Clerk, is there any changes to the consent agenda as submitted?
I did have one bill added to, and it should have been scanned in, so let me know if you did not receive it, but it was from Simmering Corey in regard to our recodification process, and it was for the amount of $1,250.
No other changes other than that?
Correct.
Councilman Shantz, any issues with the amendment or the 1250? Okay. Council, the changes have been noted on there, and there's no issues from finance on that. Any comments from council or concerns? Hearing none, I'd ask for approval of the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Moved by, I think that was Rosenberg.
Trump.
Oh, Trump, sorry. So moved by Trump.
Second.
Second by Bosenberg. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. We'll move on to new business. I'm going to amend this slightly. I'm going to move under old business. There's because we did discuss it last month, and this is my error, I'm going to move that special event permit up to item B under new business, only because it's up for rediscussion given the current situation in Lynn County with COVID-19. So I'm going to move that under A. So 12A will now become 11B. So I want to make sure there's no issue with the benefit days before we approve the liquor license. So again, my error, but that will be edited as stated. That being said, we'll move on to 11A. We'll recognize Jolene Springman. She's already identified herself. We have her here, and I believe she has comments on her fence, or on the fence ordinance here within the city of Alburnett. We'll recognize you now, Jolene. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm at 145 First Street, and I just want to start by saying that I didn't intentionally leave our fence off. I thought we were adopting the entire Lynn County ordinance. So I guess I just want to argue the fact that in that ordinance, the pool wall does count as the height. So I'm just questioning why we don't follow that same rule. I do have a locking ladder, which is part of the requirement. And we do have the ability to take the ladder out as well, but it is always locked. So someone would have to physically climb over our pool wall, which is 52 inches.
Very good. So if I understand you correctly, you're wanting some type of variance or exception from the council because of the height of your pool.
Correct, if possible. I also just wanted to put out there that I wasn't trying to sneak one past anybody. I literally thought we were with the whole entire Lynn County ordinance. So I guess it was just a misunderstanding. So I am looking for the variance. Otherwise, just wanted to kind of get it out there and see where we go from here as far as getting one in place for a fence.
It's my understanding that the city, and the clerk can speak on this, but it's my understanding that the city has contacted you and advised you that you're not in compliance with the city ordinance and that you need a fence.
We spoke before we put the pool up. I had talked with Danielle about what the Alburnett ordinance states. And then in discussion with Stacy, I thought we were taking on the entire Lynn County ordinance. So that was still before we had put the pool up, but I hadn't discussed anything with Danielle since that conversation, until I was on vacation and was notified then.
Yeah, and fill in the pieces, since the council's probably not familiar with the entire thing. When you say Stacy, you're talking about my wife.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Just trying to figure out really what the ordinance reads. And then, like I said, there was a misunderstanding as far as what part of the Lynn County ordinance we were taking over. I thought it was the entire ordinance, not just the building code permit, apparently. So, like I said, that's where the misunderstanding came on my part. So, but I did talk to Danielle prior to that about the Alburnett ordinance.
Danielle, any comments from you for filling anything for council here for they?
I did put a copy of the fence ordinance in the packet, so I don't know if you had a chance to review that. It's in our zoning ordinance. So when we went and adopted the Lynn County building code, it wouldn't have adopted the guidance from Lynn County as far as swimming pools, because we have our separate fence ordinance, which is in our zoning code or our zoning ordinance. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Right. Yep. I mean, that makes sense to me. Like I said, I thought we were adopting all of the ordinances for Lynn County, if that makes any sense, I guess.
Okay, council, any comments or questions from you in reference to the pool or the fencing requirements?
So as I understand it, you've talked with Danielle about the fence ordinance prior to putting up the pool. You knew what the ordinance said. There was some misunderstanding since then. It appears to me that we're going to have to go by the ordinance.
Any other comments?
Am I misunderstanding anything?
Nope, not misunderstanding. Like I said, I had talked to Danielle prior to putting up the pool, but I had thought we were adopting the Lynn County ordinance, which states that the pool wall counts as a barrier as long as it's tall enough. So that's just where I was confused, I guess.
My comment would be,
Question that I have
go ahead, Chester.
is the pool a part of the building code?
I apologize.
Does the pool fall under the building code?
No.
The county building code?
The requirement for a fence is in our zoning ordinance, which we have separate from the building code.
But does the swimming pool fall under the Lynn County building code? Does it?
No.
That's the answer.
Bethany, did you have a comment?
Yeah, Jolene, thanks for being here. We appreciate the backstory and just the honesty and how everything happened. I tend to agree that I think our ordinance has to stand only because we've enforced it in other places and we would need to be consistent. But Danielle, I think part of it is discussion on our side about a timeline for her to become compliant. Is that right?
Correct. I think we had talked, and Jolene, you were concerned about if you were required to put the fence in by council, what the timeline would look like.
Correct.
Does somebody have a suggestion on that for what that timeline would be? I mean, for compliance to the ordinance?
I guess, Jolene, you and I had spoken as well. Were you intending to do like a full yard fence or just the on top of the pool fence barrier?
I was going to do just an on top of the pool fence, but at this point I would like to do as tall as I can privacy fence. I do have a couple of people coming out to do a quote next week, but I anticipate that they're going to be extremely high and we're going to end up doing it ourselves. I worry as far as getting material and getting it done still yet this summer. I don't know if this fall is an option. Because things are either everybody's booked or things are on back order. So I don't know what that timeline looks like. So I guess if I'm not going to get the variance, then I need to know what time frame we have to work with.
Yeah, my opinion on this, Mr. Mayor, is she does have the locking ladder. I've seen it locked. So there's a mitigation in place. Jolene, while I'd still like to see compliance with the ordinance, I think that definitely helps in that it doesn't have to be immediate. And is this a type of pool that would be winterized, or do you
Correct.
drain it fully?
Winterized.
Okay. Do you have a timeline on when generally you would close that up?
No. I mean, I can ask other people who have had a pool. I guess it just probably depends on the fall. Mayor, my opinion would be if it could be done by end of the year.
I would think so. I mean, you obviously can't do construction work if you're going to put up a privacy fence in bad weather, but if it was even, I would think in October, or no later than, I didn't think you would be doing work in, like I say, in the winter. What are you looking for here, Jolene? 90 days, 120, what?
I mean, I would like if we could possibly get it done this fall. Like I said, I have 2 people coming out next week to give me a quote. I guess if it's under what we're expecting, then I don't know what their scheduling is like as far as how booked they are. So I don't know at this point if it's going to be professionally done or done by us. So I guess I can keep in touch after I get my quotes next week, if that's acceptable. And
Well,
go
you're
from-
out of compliance with the ordinance, so I would like to call for a motion from the council who doesn't want to do a variance. So I'd like to call for a motion to give an actual day, either like 90 or 120 days for you to come in compliance. So by doing a motion, it allows for the clerk to handle any further complaints that come in with the pool.
Okay.
I can take
So
that,
if I, sorry,
No, go ahead.
I mean, say we go 120, 60, 90, that's what, 3 months, right?
4.
Oh, 4. Okay. Yep. Sorry, 4. What, I mean, are there going to be like fines in place after? What's?
So
Suppose that if the council approves it by motion here, you'd get a letter from the city stating that you're out of compliance and you must come in compliance within 100 or 120 days from the receipt of the letter. And then that would be on you to do so. If you fail to come in compliance within the 120 days, then you would have a municipal infraction against you, basically.
But at that point, Jolene, just so you know, if we get to that point, you'll get another letter where you can request a hearing where you could possibly get another extension. So it's not an immediate thing. I think if we can work together and see what's happening. I will just say in our experience right now, we're seeing contractors about 2 months out on things, like you said, given all the delays and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if 90 is not reasonable. I would hope 120 is.
Yes. Yeah. Everything's appealable. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess that's what I feel, as long as we're seeing progress when you get up there, 120, as long as there's progress somewhere.
So, Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion that we allow 120 days for the fence to be constructed.
It's a motion for 120 days for the property at 145 First Street to receive time for a fence to be constructed.
I'd second that.
A second by Bosenberg. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The motion carries. Danielle, would you construct a letter and send it so we have it for the record? And Jolene, you'll be receiving that. If you would keep us advised if there's going to be a problem beyond 120 days, so we can adjust that if we need to.
Okay.
All right, very good. Do you have any other comments?
I don't think so. Nope.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us past 11A. We'll go ahead and move on to the new amended 11B, which is the special event permit. We have, I believe, Ryan Young on with us to talk about the AC/DC benefit days for August 1st. We'll go ahead and recognize you, Ryan.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Any comments you have about the benefit days, with the understanding that I believe it's back here to be discussed because of the some of the items that we've received, not only with your permit that was discussed last month, but also because of the current COVID situation with Lynn County and some of the increased cases and things like that. But I'll go ahead and recognize you if you want to tell us a little bit more about your permit, the events, and what's going to be taking place.
Okay. So with the COVID situation, we, I know I put a schedule in there, should be with you guys now. We canceled some events for this year, the kids games, just because they'll be kind of in the small area, and all the kids will be touching the same toys and everything. So we are not going to do that this year. Our alumni wrestling, because it usually draws such a big crowd and they're so close together, we decided not to do that. And also the chicken chase that we usually do, because it also it gathers the kids in the same area with each other and won't be able to stick with these social distancing rules. So as for that, we've kind of pushed everything towards more of a spread out event. We have the parade as usual, the slow tractor race, which we will not be putting any bleachers out for. It'll be all, the seating will be for the public to bring, so they can sit wherever they want, spread out throughout the street. And then we kind of just are leaning more towards having live music all day, and more of just a festival for people just to kind of to be able to spread out and be able to wander the streets more. I know with our the beer sales that we had an issue with last year about them wandering the streets, and I did include in the packet too, about condensing it down to only being allowed to be within a certain fenced area, which is pretty much stretching in front of both the bars, in front of the gas station, pretty much from like Historical Society up to Fuller's, and then having that alleyway there right in front of the city council office. So that would kind of spread people out as well.
Any other comments, Ryan?
No.
All right. Questions from council or concerns for the benefit day?
Ryan, I'd like to start. I appreciate that you addressed my concerns from last meeting, including the beer tent. So you said that'll be physically fenced?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then with signage that alcohol is not to leave the area?
Yes, correct.
Okay, wonderful.
And then on that paper, I don't know if you have a copy of it, I drew out where the fence will be at, and then also the beer sales area will be 21 and over only in that area, in the beer sales area. But pretty much the whole street will be fenced in to where people can take their alcoholic beverages out in between the fences.
I don't know, did we get that updated map, Danielle? I think I have the old one. You're muted.
Yeah, she's saying it should be on there now.
If you go to the agenda, it should be the first item under old business under 12A. If you can see the link.
Oh, I see it now. Thank you.
Yeah. I updated it this afternoon.
No more questions for me.
Council. Chief Graham, any concerns?
No, but we did decide that we're not going to do a pancake breakfast this year because of it. We'll just do the parade, and that's probably about it for the fire department.
Okay. Public Works guy, any concerns?
No, nothing. I think that sounds great.
Okay. Hearing those concerns that were out there and having them addressed, then is there, I don't think we're gonna, I think it was approved, we could reapprove it, but I think that it was approved last month. So if there's no other concerns, we could probably just move past it unless a council person wants a reaffirmation of a motion.
I'm fine.
Nope. Okay, very good. Then I don't think there's going to be any problem with it, Ryan. Well, it sounds like everything has been addressed and it's taken care of. We're going to go ahead and move on then to the liquor license. You've made an application for a Class B liquor license, which is beer, including wine coolers. It looks like it's a 5-day license to cover this event. It's in the packet, Council. I'm sure you've had an opportunity to review it. There's no concerns with it. I'll take any questions now. If not, then we can seek a motion to approve it.
Ryan, I do have one quick question. Is your intention to do individual containers over like a keg situation?
Yes, we'll do just 12-ounce standard cans.
I received a call from the insurance company today about the Dram Shop insurance, and they are working on getting it, but I haven't received it yet. So I would ask if there is a motion to approve the liquor license, that it would be contingent upon receiving that insurance Dram coverage from the insurance agent. And he said there should be no problem to get it. I just haven't received it yet.
You're muted, Charlie, if you're talking to us.
Oh, sorry. I was just talking to Danielle about the liquor license.
Is it the expiration date?
Yeah.
I think it's because it's an initial application. They have it a weird date on there, but I will check into that as well.
All right. But we don't need to amend. Okay, very good. All right. Any other questions about the license or comments?
No.
All right, seek a motion to approve the liquor license for the Diamond Club.
So moved pending the insurance.
Okay. Moved by Carrie.
Second by Shantz.
Second by Shantz. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Opposed, no. The motion carries. All right, this brings us on to items, what we're C and D, but ordinances for the ATV, UTV for Lynn County being adopted by the city of Cedar Rapids, sorry, I worked there too long. City of Alburnett. One thing I want to say about this before we get into discussion with it, I talked to Councilman Minson, and he is not in favor of this as it's presented, and whether that means tabling it until it's reconstructed or doing all the readings or whatever. He's open to that, but just as it's presented, he's not comfortable with it. Now he's not present. That doesn't mean we can't move forward with it. We have a quorum and we don't have to hold businesses. It is an agenda item, and it's presented as such. So I just want to relay his comments for him. With that being said, this was discussed last month, and it was left that would be turned over to the full-time staff to construct the construct the ordinances and bring it forward. And if it was ready, we would have movement on it. So they've done what they were asked to do. Given that the information is in your packet, and again, I'm sure you've had your opportunity to review it, and we can move forward if necessary. I would ask that I believe Guy is going to talk about it and give a quick synopsis of what they put together.
Yeah, as far as the snowmobile ordinance, that reason that had anything to do with this is just the removal of language about ATVs and UTVs, which would have been redundant and not current with an added ATV UTV ordinance. So that is the only reason that snowmobile ordinance is on the docket. As far as ATVs and UTVs, we did our best to keep the ordinance the same as Lynn County, so that as far as enforcement went, the deputies could refer to that for the most part. That being said, the county ordinance has a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. We have speed limits in town that are lower than that. So we changed language to say posted speed limit, which throughout town is 25 miles an hour. We did change the wording in the county ordinance to allow travel on all roads. And I think that is all streets in town. And I think that is a point of contention for Councilor Menson. We did consider saying just the entrances to town. Alburnett Road to the south is not allowed by the county, but the other three entrances to town would be if you departed or came to town from those three, from Roosevelt, North Alburnett Road, and Burnett Station. That could be a change in the ordinance if the council desires to just regulate that. Now, with that being said, we'd have to adjust some language for people who live here in town who own a ATV or UTV that obviously live on a residential street. And I think there's wording in the county ordinance that basically alludes to that. If you have to take a non-allowed road a short distance to get to an allowed road from your house, that's allowable. And so that would give residents in town, we could just, put that language back in. That would give residents who live in town the ability to get from their house to the main road to exit town, or if they're coming back in. Other than that, Danielle, I think I've touched on all the highlights. We just adapted the county ordinance to our needs as we thought we heard from you.
We talked to the other surrounding cities, and a lot of them are in favor of adopting something similar to Lynn County ordinance. It seems like the closer we can get to what Lynn County adopts, the easier it's going to be for the sheriff's department to enforce it. If we get further away, which we can do per our ordinance, the struggle will be there to enforce that by the Lynn County Sheriff, because they'll have to be keeping our specific ordinance in mind and at the top of their, frame of mind when they're in our area. specifically. So we discussed that with the other cities in the area. Guy and I discussed that, and we thought keeping it as close to the county as possible would probably be best to allow it to be enforced. And again, other cities in the area, Springville, they're going to go with the county ordinance and amend based upon their speed zones in town. Coggan adopted it. They are requiring permits through their city. Guy and I discussed that as well. We decided, in our opinion, we didn't want to do a special permittance for that because it would be something else that would have to be enforced by city staff and or the sheriff's office as well. So we just thought the closer we, again, go to the county, the easier it's going to be to get it enforceable. So that way, if there are issues, they'll be addressed instead of not knowing where we are at with it.
Questions, concerns from council on these items? Again, we're going to have to decide whether to move forward with these or edit it and resubmit or table or what we're going to want to do here. So I'll hear from council here what you want to do.
I can start. One that's kind of easy that I noticed that I don't agree with, which makes sense in the county but not in the town, is the reference to firearms and hunting from your ATV. I think that needs to be stricken entirely because we have a separate ordinance that says no discharge of firearms. Again, that makes sense in the county, but isn't really relevant here, and I think it'll just cause confusion. And then my opinion, Mayor, is I'd like to table because I think we need to address the allowable streets and how we handle that, because I frankly don't want ATVs running around the residential areas. We don't have a variance right now for golf carts to be able to go on prohibited streets in order to gain access, and we have folks that live on just the main routes that maybe can't operate their golf carts. So I think we need to find a solution with how we do that, and whether it comes down to permitting so that we can track addresses and really, I mean, who's to determine their shortest route? We have people at the end of my street that would have to come a significant distance through a residential area. And they have been at a high rate of speed as well. So I have concerns about allowing them in the neighborhoods.
Okay, other comments from council?
I like the idea of limiting what streets they can run on. I don't think they should be tearing around in a residential area.
Okay.
I do have a question though, on when you want to limit streets, so you take like, okay, I have one, and I know there's a few others that have them that go to the compost pile. Okay, we use them to go there, you know, so if you're gonna, you know, just take in consideration that, because that is a usable vehicle for that. So that's my only concern. You know, outside that, I wouldn't be driving around all over town, you know, with it. It'd just be going to the compost pile and probably go uptown, get gas and back. So, you know, something to think about.
Yeah, I appreciate it. On that same note, we may need to then also adjust, because I believe it said not allowed on city property. So if we're
right.
I apologize. We had updated that, and I don't know if I got it updated in the online, but we had updated that to, what was the verbiage?
Just parks. We took it just so you couldn't go in parks. We didn't want anybody tearing up grass or whatever. Just a quick comment, and I know everybody's concerned, and the temptation is to tear around town on an ATV, but we're limiting these vehicles to licensed drivers. You have to remember that any licensed driver can jump in a car, a pickup, a motorcycle, and tear up and down the street in town. I understand it seems like an ATV or UTV, it will have a higher tendency for that, but just as much damage and just as much speed and more speed can be attained with our legal licensed vehicles that we've had since the beginning of vehicles. So I'm not saying that that should make everything okay. Just remember that, you know, if it's a 16-year-old flying 40 mile an hour down the road, it could be any kind of vehicle. So I just wanted to make that comment.
And also, Bethany, with the firearm issue, we had addressed that as well. Guy and I were talking about that because I had questioned it. I wasn't sure what some of the verbiage was relating to. And we thought that since our city ordinances already disallow hunting in city limits, that we could just leave that verbiage in there so it would be closer to the counties, easier for the sheriff's department to follow up on and not have so many differences, because we don't allow it anyway. But we can definitely look at taking that out.
They would have to enforce the other ordinance because it's not, I mean.
Right.
So
Right,
I think we just strike it so that it's
Okay.
not contradictory would be
Yeah.
my opinion.
Okay.
And it was just the one about discharging. I mean, as far as allowing them to carry, I think that's consistent. It was just the discharging of a firearm.
Right, because you got your permit to carry, so, you know,
Yeah.
they are going to be coming into town with them, so.
Yeah, I don't care about that. It was just we don't allow firearms to be discharged in town. So just strike that bullet.
Okay.
point.
I agree with that.
Any other
So-
comments, questions?
Nope.
Okay, so it sounds like that, if I got everybody's read correctly, that we want to table this pending the changes and then have it resubmitted for council next month.
Sounds good.
Okay, that won't require a motion. And we're gonna go ahead and do that with both items, correct? All right, then we'll move past those and that will take us into old business.
Mayor, can I ask that everyone, that all the council members, please, you know, give me their opinion so I can tie this all together before we present next time, so we're all on the same page at your leisure over the next month.
Yeah, and Danielle, would you follow up with an email to everybody so that doesn't stay open-ended? I would like to close the loop on this next month if we can. Thank you. Okay, so the old business, item A has already been taken care of, which brings us to 12B, which is the fire station project update. We'll recognize Guy for this.
Basically, I think everything is going very well. There's minor setbacks as any construction project has, but they are on pace, short a couple of days from things that didn't get delivered on time. Also from a couple of minor mistakes that had to be corrected. Nothing serious, absolutely normal construction items. They are days away from pouring the floor for the apparatus bay. The floor drain is in. They need to run another water line. They sheeted the entire meeting room area, have the paper on it. They're insulating the meeting room as we speak. They were today on the outside putting the rigid insulation on. I think it's going great. The only holdup on the forefront right now would be when the steel comes in. It has not arrived, and they're getting very close to that being the next thing they need to start sheeting the outside of the building. They do have to frame up the bathrooms and the utility room in the apparatus bay area, but again, I think it's going very well.
Good. Good. Danielle, any concerns with the contract or financing or anything?
No, we had a another pay up that was in the claims, but no, everything's going okay.
Chief Graham, any comments? Questions from council or concerns with the new fire station? I think it looks good, but you know, I stop by there every now and again and walk through, and it looks good to me. But then, you know, anything from council?
Yep, looking good to me.
All right, very good. Well then, that takes care of everything that's on the agenda. We'll go through real quickly and see if anybody has any final comments before we adjourn. We'll start with Councilman Bozelberg, sorry.
Not too much, Guy. I noticed you mentioned a couple of times about some trees got to come down. And you're just going to be planning on doing that, or?
Yeah, that's the intention. We've used Dave Reed's bucket truck that he has that's available for rent now to put the flags up and take them down. Very comfortable operating it. It's a really good piece of equipment, so that's going to make that job really easy. We'll start that as soon as we tie up some other projects.
Do we have insurance on that when we use that bucket truck, or does he have insurance? Or
he's insured, but we basically have a rental clause. Anytime I rent a mini excavator or anything like that, we're basically automatically covered. There's a dollar amount that is way higher, value than anything we've rented before. So, yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Councilman Trump.
Nothing.
Councilman Saracen.
And just one last thank you to staff. I know you guys do a lot. You field a lot from residents and from us. Hope we're not too big of a pain in the neck, but thank you for what you guys do and getting everything to us monthly. We appreciate it.
Councilman Shantz. Anything else, Chester?
No.
Okay. All right. Chief Graham, anything for you?
I'm good.
Ryan, you stayed on. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm good.
All right, very good. Guy or Danielle, anything? All right, very good. Then that covers everything on the agenda. No other comments. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Bosenberg,
Second.
second by either Trum. I'm going to pick Trum. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
No.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Have a good week.
Yep.
Yep.